Hello, it's Scott Manley here with Elite Dangerous. Beyond Chapter 2 has just been released, and among the updates is the return of an old ship from the old series of games, the Krait Mark II, a reimagining of the old Krait Lightspeeder, which was originally manufactured, to basically host all this flavor text. Look, it is a return of an old favourite. It's got in-press string setup. It is a lot bigger than the ship in the original game, whereas you would sometimes find things like asteroids deploying crates as fighters in the original Elite. This one is actually capable of carrying a fighter on its own. It has 3 large hardpoints, 2 medium hardpoints, and pretty solid setup all around. It does look, well, pretty sweet. Unfortunately, this is the stock skin that I have available because I haven't actually bought any skins because I don't know if it's going to be my main ride. Yeah, this is, one of the cool things actually is the location of the cockpit. It sits kind of underneath. Has a really interesting field of view, has room for 3 crew on it, so you can have a gunner and a fighter pilot as well. And 2 of the hardpoints actually deploy next to the cockpit. Now, the game hasn't yet added space legs. They're still looking for a compelling reason to add it, but thanks to the power of VR, I can actually walk around my cockpit and get a look at a bunch of things that normally are invisible to most players. Yeah, I mean, sure, you can look down and see the steps, you can see the various positions there for the pilots, but if you head towards the back of the cockpit, and I'm doing this very carefully, believe it or not, because I was worried I would trip on something. I had to walk way out of my usual field of view, but that is a model of the original Krait from the original BBC Micro version. Obviously, it's not wireframed, but it has the original kind of cheese wedge shape. We've got a nice little galnet thing there. That looks like an old computer, like an old VAX or something. Yep, I do like the cockpit, but this is a spaceship, and we want to take it for a little flight. First of all, actually, let's take a look. Wow, we can see straight up there. Oh, man. This looks amazing! It's kind of... VR and Elite Dangerous is still, like, the best VR title, I think. It's just... Obviously, you spend a lot of time sitting around, so it totally fits in with the game. But beyond that, the controls in the game are exactly the controls that I'm using. Okay, maybe not everyone's going to have the HOTAS setup that I do, but... Wow! Just look around. Cool fact, the guns will drop down next to me, so when we get into a fight, we will be right in the middle of the weapons. This supposedly has really good weapons convergence. I kind of just threw a bunch of parts on it so I could, shoot some stuff. We'll see how it looks. Here we go. Oh man, flying out of the space station is always pretty cool. Just listen for the audio. Yes, that is the Elite crew, the Elite sound people doing their bestest to make the Krait sound like, well, unlike any other ship, but equally the same as any other ship, so you can still tell what's going on. There's the space station. Okay, let's go and find something to shoot. Wow, thank goodness for the power of editing. Okay, so we see something silhouetted against the star. A Type 6 transporter. David, what have you got? You have wanted status. And that means I have something for you in the form of guns. So watch them, they're going to come down either side, see that? So those are the the medium-sized hardpoints. I just put some, like, pulse lasers in there. Oh yeah. Man! Wow, that did not last long. Beautiful. Oh! I didn't mean for that to happen. Wow, what is that? That's conductive components. I'm going to say that with the good visibility, this ship is actually really good for picking up loot in space, so I think we should rename it the Loot Krait. Now there is another spacecraft that's been added to this release in the form of the Alliance Challenger, which is kind of a smaller version of the Chieftain. If you want that, you know, of course, it's out there, it's available to anyone, there's no restrictions. And there is a fairly extensive collection of patch notes with new features and whatever that have been added, but the real updates are probably secret at this point. They have been very clear that this year is all about adding storyline, ongoing storyline in the war with the Thargoids and the relationship with the Guardians and stuff like that. And I'm gonna confess, I actually still haven't managed to take down a Thargoid solo, and I don't have enough friends in Elite Dangerous to actually go out and take on Thargoids. But yeah, I do occasionally encounter them. Would it spoil it if I pointed out that the Thargoid sounds are woodwind instruments played, you know, pitched down? Yeah, I still think the Thargoid encounters are, you know, they're some of the greatest cinematics in games, if you ask me. But I did go out hunting Thargoids just to kind of get an idea of what it was all about, and I read some guides on the internet, and I didn't want to fly another Anaconda because, well, it's kind of nice that I have an Anaconda, so one of the biggest and baddest ships in the game, but I wanted something different, something with flavor, so I went and got a Federal gunship, which I'm going to say, it is as tough as a brick. It also flies about as well as a brick. Now, most combat-equipped ships are really lousy in terms of jump range. I did make a point of going out to the Pleiades, and yeah, if you've not been following the story, the Thargoids have been attacking a lot of stations. This one is being repaired now, but it still bears the scar of a previous assault. There's still smoke floating around in there. Not all of the docking bays are working, and many of the services are offline. But I could travel there in my Asp Explorer and then get the gunship delivered to me, which saved a whole lot of time. And then I could go out and find some of these Thargoids. So these are the Marauders. You've seen me fight these before in various live streams and stuff like that. They're just little interceptors. They're actually called Marauders in this case, Thargoid Scouts. And the kind of weapons that are good against the big Thargoid ships are pretty lousy against the small Thargoid ships. But I do have a fighter on this. I've got my Iris Watson there as my fighter pilot. She's like deadly. She got some proper badass skills. Her bio explains how she learned to fly from her wife. Even though I'm built like a brick, you can't get away in these fights without taking some damage, especially once the corrosive missiles start getting deployed. Those will attach themselves to the hull, and the only way to get rid of them, as far as I can tell, is to either have a friend hanging out with a limpet system, or you can overheat your spacecraft. You know, you can go into stealth mode after the fight and burn off the caustic stuff. Don't want to do it inside the fight because you will drop your shields as well. And then there's the big ones, the interceptors. The Cyclops variant is the weakest. And I have seen people take these down solo, and they are truly better players than me. But, yeah, I kitted out a ship with suggested fits. I think I probably need a little bit more engineering. And I haven't really had the heart to go back and re-engineer all my spacecraft. Whoa, there goes the Thargoid swarm. But this is fit with 4 different alien weapons, or AX weapons. AX class weapons are special. Doesn't matter how big your ship is, you're only allowed to fit 4 of them. So that does kind of level the playing field a bit. The idea is you're really supposed to be dealing with these as a wing. At least I gather that. Here we go. Oh, fired the flak a little too early. Why am I hitting filters? clearly doing things wrong here. That's it. Looking for hearts. There are 4 Thargoid hearts, and every time you take one down, it changes its attack system. It gets tougher, it gets better. And you better hope that you have the time and the energy to just keep going, because those Thargons will continue to tear you apart bit by bit. Seriously, strongly advise bringing some friends with you to make sure that it doesn't evaporate and sneak away just because one of you gets killed. Of course, you know, truth be told, Elite is the game that you should play and not worry too much about winning. Certainly you want to make sure you don't lose, but just because you can't beat the bad guys doesn't mean you can't have fun. For example, I got my canopy blown out in spectacular style, and I actually managed to screw up my approach not once but twice. When I finally got the approach vector I needed, I was down to just over a minute worth of oxygen, and I tell you, the heart started beating fast here. Because, I'm going to point out, there is actually an engineer recipe, a synthesis recipe on the right window that you can use, and it will replenish your oxygen. But me being bad at this game, hadn't realised that. So I decided I just had to use my piloting skills.
Welcome, Commander. Please restrict your speed when approaching the surface port. Access granted. Cleared for landing on docking bay 07.
Restrict my speed? That's easy for you to say. It's actually impossible for me to say because I'm suffocating. Oh, get that. Oh, 23 seconds. 20. 19. Come on. Don't want to bounce. Oh. Yes. Woohoo. Okay. Oh, no. Click. Click. Into the hangar. Into the hangar. Click, 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 click. No. I think that is the closest shave I've ever had in this game, and it was amazing. But look, the game is called Elite Dangerous, obviously named for the ranks, the pilot ranks, and I'm gonna say in the last 6 months or so, I have actually reached elite status for at least one of the groups, one of the particular categories. So there's this mission for Ramta, where you gotta go around and find Guardian ruins, and you have to scan these obelisks. There's lots of obelisks, but to find the complete set of 100 takes a really long time. The markings on the obelisks actually tell you what particular items you need to activate the obelisks. So once you learn the coding, that simplifies it, but you still need to find them. So we get some nice flavor text. The data contains more details about the Guardians' approach to raising their young. Care if the youngest was whatever. Look, doesn't matter because that was the last one that I needed. And there is a really good website which will help you track down all the stuff, track down where everything is. I use that, it'll tell you which stars to go for. You just got to keep a spreadsheet to keep track of which things you have. And once you've scanned them all, which will take maybe 5 hours, you can turn the mission and get yourself a neat, 100 million credits. But not only that, that counts towards your pilot's rank for exploration. And that 100 million credits, that was enough to push me up to Elite Explorer. Which is pretty sweet because I did play the original a lot, but I never really got to Elite status because I kind of realised it was just a lot of repetition. But oh yeah, here we go. Right on, Commander. The Pilots Federation has bestowed its greater honour on you and granted you the exploration rank of Elite. There are also the new Guardian structures. Well, actually, they're not new. They've been in since Beyond was released. These are pretty important if you're going to collect the stuff to make the Guardian weapons, where you collect the blueprint parts, and the weapons are, of course, pretty good for dealing with Thargoids. But there's also some other bits and pieces that can be used. There's now a frameshift drive booster that will give you extra range. So there's just been so much that I haven't had time to actually share on my channel. It's kind of funny that I love Elite and I still play Elite, but I haven't been making videos about it so much because I think everybody else has been doing a much better job because they've had more time to actually figure out the minutiae of it. But I think Elite is one of these games that actually almost improves the more casual you are about it. The more you can just enjoy flying around and not worry about where your money comes from or where you're going to get the parts for that next engineer upgrade, the more you just straight up enjoy being in an awesome spaceship. And I can really see why people are spending, years just flying out in the unknown, jumping from one star to the other and exploring. A lot of people criticize Elite for being like, a mile wide and an inch deep. The truth is, actually, it's a lot deeper, there's a lot more content, but the bigger criticism I think that I can still level at it is that it takes a really long time to do anything, and the content they have, okay, what was I doing there? I don't know what I was doing. No, the content, it takes such a long time to get to some of that content because, you gotta follow through the guide, you can't necessarily figure it out on your own. And there is a lot of looking around for specific kinds of spawns so that you can get those bits and pieces, so you can get that, that upgrade, that engineer upgrade. I think the game could absolutely benefit from having a lot of the online stuff actually incorporated into the game's narrative instead of having to go to outside websites to find the bits and pieces you need. So yeah, look, Elite Dangerous just had a new update. I'm going to be messing around with it, no doubt, in the coming days. And hopefully we'll see some more developments in the actual Thargoid narrative and other narratives that are being shared inside the game. So I'll see you guys in the black. I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.